Hi, I'm Jessica Breen. I am the Program Director for Geospatial Research Support in the library, but I also teach a class for environmental science. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So I teach a class in GIS, sort of geospatial information systems. I teach introduction to sort of spatial analysis and mapping. And I think, figure out how to use technology. I feel like everybody has one of these. It's not me, it's the microphone. If you've been teaching before, you kind of end up with these, right? These ambitious ideas that we don't get around to doing because they're going to take more time or more technical ability than we have available to us. It's an immersive assignment. It's redesigning a course to be more creative. It's that thing we would do if we had the time and the technical ability. So my ambitious project is the Null Island Atlas. And so this is a synthetic geospatial data set and a skills-based critical GIS curriculum. It's a safe sandbox where my students can practice geospatial analysis as well as the critical data literacy and the professional ethics needed to actually create maps for the real world. It's a low stakes but rigorous space where they can experiment, fail safely, and focus on learning the logic and the process of spatial analysis rather than just memorizing which button in the software do you need to push. The problem with the Null Island Atlas is that building this by myself is not really doable. It's a substantial technical undertaking, so I'm creating realistic synthetic geospatial data, making sure that it works, and designing novel assignments to actually use it. There's a lot of instructional design work to produce clear instructional materials for those new assignments that align with my course learning goals, and that hold it all together in a curriculum that covers everything students need to know in order to be able to be skilled, responsible users of geospatial technology. And it takes a lot of time. None of us have a surplus of time, but as someone who is teaching a class on top of having a full-time job, I am very pressed for time. And so I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't really have the ability to make it happen. And so that's where the AI comes in. This is not a replacement for my own expertise as an instructor, but it's a way for me to make ambitious ideas doable. So AI became my collaborator in this process, a partner who helped me stretch beyond my limits and actually start building things. And so I think of this as my project team. The coding assistants are my developers. The GPT is my instructional designer. And I provide the vision and the pedagogy. I said that right, didn't I? So I use coding assistants. These are tools that help me write and debug code in Python and R. They help me generate functional synthetic geospatial data sets, and they write script that grades things that I can't do in Canvas. So one particular script evaluates a table that's produced in the course of making a particular assignment. And it evaluates the structure to verify that students are doing the analysis in the correct order. It leaves an artifact in the table that you can read. But you can't see it in the final map. So it's something that I could grade by hand, but it's extremely time consuming. And so I can't do it often in a semester if I do it. But writing a script to automate that evaluation means that I'm freed up to focus on giving feedback about why the order mattered in the work the student did. I also built a custom GPT. It's trained on my syllabus, my course objectives, and my teaching philosophy. So it acts as an instructional designer and a copy editor. Copy editors are very handy things. It helps me align my assignments with my learning outcomes. It helps me track that skills repeat throughout the semester, giving students multiple times to actually build those skills, as well as helping me edit and reformat tutorials so that they're consistent and clear. Working with AI feels like I have collaborators on this project, and that's a key thing for me in this process, that it's a collaboration with the AI. The AI isn't doing the work for me. It's helping me to work more efficiently within my time constraints and to extend my existing technical skills. I can write R code, but I write better code faster when I let the AI be my pair programmer. I can manually reformat all my tutorial materials, but if I make a template and I feed it to the GPT, it's going to do it way faster than I ever could. And that saved time adds up for me to use in other things that are more important to actually getting the students to learn what I need them to learn. So I can also, if I'm stuck on a problem, I can talk to the AI. Mostly it's going to mirror my own ideas back to me, because if you remember, the GPT is trained on my documents. But it is actually quite helpful. It's a bit like the computer science practice of rubber duck debugging. If you are familiar with this concept, you literally explain a problem to a rubber duck, And by switching from thinking to talking, it clicks something in your head, and you all of a sudden, as you were explaining it to the duck, realize the mistake that you were making. It's a nice little trick. The difference in this case is the duck can talk back, but it never gets bored with that conversation. It never has a meeting to go to. So, because of this collaboration, I've been able to create assignments that assess process instead of just grading a final map. So I'm able to look at how students think through a spatial problem, not just what their product looks like at the end. My materials are more consistent and more accessible. It's always a goal. I can respond to student needs quickly. For example, if an assignment doesn't land the way I hoped, or if students bring up an unexpected question in class, I can rapidly generate new data or revise an activity to address that immediately. Sometimes I'll create a new follow-up exercise to help them in the next class. I can amend my tutorials to highlight something that happened in the previous discussion. In the past, that kind of thing, I could amend my lecture, but amending my materials was next semester. So it's allowed me to be more responsive. And everything ties more tightly to my course learning materials. I think the students are already seeing the benefits of this. Clearer tutorials, clearer assignment instructions, consistently formatted materials so they always know where they go find the instructions. And I hope a sense that the course responds to them in real time. So AI tools make that kind of responsiveness sustainable for me. So something I can keep doing and not just one-off that. So AI helps bridge the gap, and that's really kind of my point here. It doesn't replace our expertise. It isn't a substitute for it. It's a tool that helps us extend our skills. It helps bridge that gap between what we imagine teaching could be and what our tools and time have allowed us to actually do. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. First of all, amazing necklace. And so two-part question. One is, how transparent do you make it to your students that you are integrating these technologies in your assignments, and to which end?
Oh, so I actually sell them the idea that we're working with a fake island as a benefit. So the idea is that you can't make a map that's going to hurt somebody. We work with real demographic data very often, and students, when they're first learning to do stuff, and they're first messing with data, they often create maps that are kind of hot takes. And this saves them from publishing a hot take. But I tell them about what we're doing and how I made it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. The second part of the question, I'm sure being in environmental sciences, you're being approached about the ethics of using tools to the end of how much energy they consume and the environmental impact. How do you handle those questions from students?
I don't actually get those in class very often. No, but for my part, in terms of what I'm doing, so this isn't, well, at the moment, as I'm prototyping things, I am actively using AI. But part of what I'm trying to build is, in fact, basically a GitHub repo that has all my code and things in it that I can reuse over and over, so that I am eventually letting the gas off of using AI and actually using what I've built.
Thank you.
Can you add more specifics when you said automate grading? Which assignments, how many assignments?
So the one in particular that I mentioned, as students are doing table joins, so you can join tables together in GIS. As you do that, if you do it in particular orders, your columns go into particular things. It basically is a way of telling how a student actually progressed through something. So I have a particular script that's very handy to me that knows from my experience what that table should look like if you did it right, but also what it looks like if you went awry at step 2 or step 3. And so being able to describe what the data should look like, I can get the GPT to write a cute little R code for me that opens all of those files in a folder, goes through them and tells me, about 30 seconds what it looks like. I'm trying to make more of those because a lot of times in GIS, what we get at the end is a picture of data. And it's really hard to determine how someone got there, but how is really important. So I'm trying to build more of those. I'm sort of, as I go, finding places where I'm I could grade process if I did this, and then being able to take that, that CSV of data into Canvas. Because Canvas only does multiple choice and that kind of stuff.
staying caught up with the skills? So as things keep changing, this is wonderful. I really love what you presented. So how are you personally staying caught up with new capabilities?
A lot of reading. My computer is probably full of junk tools at this point in time because I hear about something and I'm like, would that work better? I keep an Obsidian notebook full of everything. So like MD files are my new friends, where I just pull anything and shove it in my Obsidian. I've hooked it up to Devon Think. I have methods. But yeah, it's a lot of experimentation and just trying to figure out, will this work better than what I was doing? Is it worth the time to learn it? But yeah, I play with things a lot.